तुषाराद्रिसङ्काशगौरं गभीरं मनोभूतकोटिप्रभासी शरीरं स्फुरन्मौलिकल्लोलिनीं चारुगङ्गा लसद्भालबालेन्दुकण्ठे भुजङ्गा चलत्कुण्डलं शुभ्रनेत्रं विशालं प्रसन्नाननं नीलकण्ठं दयाळुं मृगाधीशचर्माम्बरमुण्डमालं प्रियं शङ्करं सर्वनाथं भजामि।
Ekam is a movement in consciousness founded by Sri Pritaji and Sri Krishnaji, spread across over 100 nations of the world. This spiritual movement has led millions to a direct experience of their personal divine and the manifestation of breathtaking miracles. Seekers throng to Ekam, the mystic powerhouse at the heart of Ekam movement, to awaken from illusion, ignorance, and suffering.
Now I have a lot of ease and peace toward myself, and I feel that I'm so complete, and I start love myself, and I start connect to the people around me, the nature around me, and I start realizing I'm able to flow with the flow of life.
It felt really liberating, like I finally got through what I was like, what was making me angry or sad at my parents. I finally got through it, and it feels really good.
As an entrepreneur, what I have been looking for, or what I look for all the time, is clarity. And what's amazing about Krishnaji is that when you listen to him and you talk to him, he's got a complete blueprint of what works and what does not work. And that's what I like about his programs, that they come from a place, a knowledge, a wisdom that is does not come from books. It comes from a deep knowing.
Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityormamritam gamaya.
Every human being has one primal wish that appears as numerous other desires. You want to be happy. But it is sad that you seek this happiness in the outside without ever ridding your own consciousness of suffering, ignorance, and separation. Most people are like hungry and thirsty children who are lost and abandoned in the middle of a desert. It is this fear and unhappiness within them that makes them hurt each other. But their desert-like life is the result of the kind of consciousness with which they live and will disappear upon awakening. An unenlightened consciousness and unawakened consciousness is at the root of most problems. In an unawakened state, you continually engage in generating negative karmic actions and accumulate negative karmic balance, which result in obstacles such as relationship conflicts, breakdown of mental and physical health, or the perceived and actual economic insufficiency. It is also the collective unawakened consciousness that is at the root of most global problems of war, poverty, division, and environmental destruction. Your awakening is the only solution to stem the further birthing of problems and the dissolution of existing challenges. And the collective awakening of human consciousness is the only enduring panacea for all of world problems. That is why our single most important mission is individual enlightenment and collective awakening of humankind. We belong to Mukti Sampradaya, and it is our mission to awaken 74,000 people into Sampurna Jivan Muktas, or total liberated beings. For when 0.001% of human population is enlightened, the balance tilts in human consciousness towards compassion and oneness. This has been the mission of my parents, Shri Amma and Shri Bhagavan, and 5 generations of sages who have gone before them. And Shri Preeta ji and I intend to fulfill this sacred mission of great liberation of humanity in our own lifetimes. Scores of people around you are already stepping into this realm of enlightenment, and we invite you to join this magnificent movement in consciousness.
I experience this flow now, and it's in my body, and it's so incredibly awesome. It's like this beautiful current of universal life force. That's who I really am. I'm so very appreciative of Krishna ji and Preeta ji for the beautiful teachings, their processes, and the limitless field meditations. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And suffering, I thought it will bring me attention from other people. Yeah, and now I understood that it's not about the attention, it's not about the superiority, it's all about the connection and this state which helps you to connect to the people that I was totally disconnected. I'm really appreciative for this. Thank you so much.
Every night now I am laying in a state of bliss consciousness that pervades my whole physical being. All through the evening I have deep states of silence that abide during the day. It's not like just having this and then it's stopping.
Shri Preeta ji and Shri Krishna ji are spiritual leaders, mystics, and philosophers of our time. They have co-created Ekam, a mystic powerhouse located in the state of Andhra Pradesh, India. Shri Preeta ji and Shri Krishna ji have over 2,000 trained volunteers who lead their events all over the world. Millions of seekers are drawn to them in quest of greater purpose, peace, and awakening. World-renowned leaders come to Ekam to learn from them and to meditate in their presence. At a tender age of 11, Shri Krishna ji had his first experience of enlightenment and God realization. Ever since then, when people meditate with him, they experience a healing of long-held wounds, their anxiety dissolves, and they move into higher states of consciousness. Shri Preeta ji's presence spontaneously opens the hearts of seekers to love and compassion beyond measure. To listen and to learn from her is a blessing of several lifetimes. Shri Preeta ji and Shri Krishna ji run a huge charitable initiative, Oneness Changemakers, a foundation that offers free transformational education in schools and colleges in India and across the world. They support their daughter Loka in running her massive charity, Loka Foundation, which supports and improves the lives of people in 1,000 villages around Ekam.
The truth is one. The wise perceive it in many ways. Cosmic reality is one. Every perception of reality is wise. All perceptions of the one reality are wise. So why conflict at all?
Ekam side vibrahai bahuta vadanti. Ekam side vibrahai bahuta vadanti.
Namaste. Welcome to the grand culmination of Ekam World Peace Festival. Today we will collectively meditate for healing Mother Earth. Sri Krishna Ji's wisdom will awaken us to a sacred connection with Mother Earth. This state of connection will then flow through us as beautiful and nurturing actions that will support the well-being of our planet. Let us welcome Sri Krishna Ji now.
Namaste. Today, on the third day of Ekam World Peace Festival, together with millions from all over the world, we enter this great field of peace consciousness to radiate peace to our planet. This day's peace meditation is dedicated to awaken sensitivity and responsibility to Mother Earth, her rivers, her oceans, her air, her land, her mountains and forests, and all the living beings that live in her bosom. Today is for our hearts to awaken to our dharma towards Mother Earth. Even as we begin, I would like you to remember that peace is either for all of us or for none of us. There is peace for every living being, or there is no peace for any living being. Humanity cannot find peace while other living beings suffer, because every living being is interconnected in the single fabric called life. When you awaken to this experience of oneness with the trees and the animals, your hearts open up to the greater intelligence of the universe. For this, you must realize that the earth belongs to all life. Every living being on earth is sentient. The astronauts say, if you have glimpsed our precious earth from space, you will never treat her the same way again. Though this might be true, this is not the solution for millions of people to awaken to love and connection with Mother Earth. And honestly, we don't need to travel that far to discover appreciation for Earth. All you need to do is pay greater attention to the extraordinary beauty that surrounds you already, and you will fall in love with her. Mother Earth is a splendorous being, and she doesn't deserve to be exploited or abused. She is kind-hearted and supremely benevolent. Mother Earth is home to more than 7.6 billion humans and 8.7 million other life forms. Undoubtedly, she is the most generous of beings known to us, providing us with all we need. It's only apt that we call her the Mother. She is the largest living being we know. Do you know that one of the ways you define a being as living is its capacity to regulate their own temperature? Earth has been constantly regulating her own temperature for millions of years. But we humans today, with our reckless consumption, are giving her a fever. We are increasing Earth's temperature to a point that it is damaging her and destroying millions of her life forms and ourselves too. The climate crisis is the biggest crisis that confronts us as a race. Remember, our Earth is not just a home for us alone. We share it with millions of other species. Much of those have arrived before us. But now, it is estimated that 200 to 2,000 species of life forms are becoming extinct every year. We have caused deforestation of 50% of the rainforests. We have made almost 59% of the vertebrates on Earth go extinct in just the last 3 decades. We are only 0.01% of the Earth's biomass, but we kill a monstrous 72 billion land animals and 1.2 trillion aquatic animals every year. how much we consume and take from the earth. Let us remember, peace for humanity is only when there is peace for all life forms. We cannot have our home safe when the rest of the earth is burning. And what all these millions of life forms ask of humanity is to simply let them be, to respect their boundaries and living spaces is our dharma, not to hurt their homes and families is our dharma, not to take so much from the earth that we leave nothing for other life forms is our dharma, to live consciously and compassionately is our dharma to the earth. We know the joyful celebration that happens when a newborn arrives into this benevolent home called earth. The mother is filled with tears of joy and finds herself immersed in a beautiful state of gratitude. In many cultures, the entire village or community joins to celebrate this occasion. Life is celebrated, and rightfully so. What could be more precious than life? And how could one measure the immense compassion of this life giver? Nothing compares to the compassion of Mother Nature. She is with us every single moment. Did you know that each time you inhaled, the whole earth is involved in the process of your breathing? Breath does not originate in our lungs, and we all know this. But how many of us actually look beyond our body each time we inhaled, appreciated the tree that breathes for us, or feel grateful to the rivers that support the tree? Do you know, breath is called prana or life itself. Breathing is not the mechanical act of pumping air. That is why Mother Earth is the life giver. She literally is our mother, our biological mother. The relationship we share with Mother Earth can be no different from the relationship we share with our biological parent. If life is worth being celebrated, then life giver should be celebrated even more. What's the celebration we are talking about? It's not the ritualistic act of celebration, but heartfelt appreciation and a state of gratitude that arises from the knowing of one's inseparability from Mother Nature. When you have become the very creature you attempt to kill, or become the very earth that you ceaselessly exploit, it is in this state of connection that you would have given yourselves a chance for an awakened perception and the possibility of a renewed action. Action that is considerate, action that is inclusive. This is love. Living in this beautiful state of gratitude nurtures one physically and emotionally, and your consciousness is set on the path of evolution. Today, as your consciousness connects with Mother Earth, you will awaken to this great love and appreciation for her. If you want to feel this connection with Mother Earth, every once in a way, sit quietly and bring attention to the sky, the trees, and the wind. Slowly your heart will come awake with love for Mother Earth. You will become part of the sacredness of nature. You will know your dharma to Mother Earth.
In a short while, we will listen to a brilliant conversation between Sri Krishna ji and Satya Tripathi ji. Kindly stay with us.
We are delighted to have amidst us Satya Tripathi today. He has been the Assistant Secretary General, Head of New York office at United Nations Environment Program. He has served with the United Nations for more than 2 decades in key positions across the world. He has been championing the cause of climate change. Welcome, Satyaji. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to this most noble gathering of Ekam Peace Meditators. It is an honor to have you with us today. Namaste.
I'm delighted to be here today, and greetings to everyone that has tuned in from across the planet. I think it's a defining moment for all of us that we gather today to discuss our connection with Mother Nature and why it is important for us to see and understand our place in the pantheon of species. As we all know, there are about 8 million species across the planet, and we are just one of them. But in the last 100 years, our species has caused untold damage to the fabric of nature across the planet, and it is time to stop that. And I sincerely feel that the gathering today, especially the World Peace Festival, because you cannot be at peace with yourself unless you are in peace with nature. So this is extremely important. Thank you.
Thank you, Satyaji. I think that's a very important message. Today, more than 20 million people from all over the world, several TV channels, many online communities, thousands of villages in India, and several thousands of students from educational institutions and entire communities are listening to us and meditating with us. Ekam World Peace Festival is an extraordinary opportunity to meditate and impact the collective thinking of humanity towards greater harmony and a peaceful coexistence. Satyaji, your message today is going to be very significant because millions of young people are watching you now who are deeply concerned with the earth. Shall we move into our conversation then?
Yes, please.
I see one fundamental disease that is increasingly consuming humanity, leading the earth into a brink of disaster. That is excessive consumerism. We should and we will consume, but it is the excess that is damaging. And as a philosopher, I see that we give in to such excess because the human mind is bored and is addicted to pleasure. We are simply not able to be present. In this context, I have a question for you, who I see as an environmental historian also. There was a time when people had a deeper connection with the earth. We saw the earth as a mother, as a living being. Satyaji, when did this shift from seeing the earth as a mother to seeing her as a clod of mud to be owned and exploited happen? Where and when do you think humanity got derailed and became so unconcerned with the earth and became disconnected with the earth's well-being?
Well, I think the answer is rather complicated. And there are no simple answers to such a profound question. But let me go back to the history of humanity. Ancient communities actually started, when humans started organizing themselves, it was around Mother Nature. It was around sustainability. If you look at urban development, historically, they all gathered around fertile plains, along riverbanks, along coastal waters, because you had all the 5 elements present to sustain humanity. And that's how we started. But over the last few hundred years, we lost our way. And Sanskrit is a language I deeply love, and I studied as a child. And at that time, I remember asking my father I read somewhere which said it's part of a shloka which says Ati Sarvatra Garhitam, means excess is really terrible. So I asked him, what is excess? And so I'm so delighted you asked that question, because what I got from him as an answer was so profound. It stays with me till date, 50 years later. He said, if you eat to live, that is in tune with nature. If you live to eat, that is excess. So
Very nice.
I think that's the message we should carry, that having 100 different costumes in our wardrobe or having 20 vehicles does not really help. If mobility is the need, which is certainly the need of a modern world, you need a vehicle or you need access to transport. It could be a bicycle, could be a train, and everything in between. But when we try to own everything at the cost of everything around us, whether it is environment, whether it is climate, the changes are profound. And so much so that in the last 100 years, since the so-called the advent of the new industrial age or industrial revolution, we have actually literally destroyed the planet 1,000 times over. If you can compare these 100 years, depending on what metric you are using, to the last 10,000 years, or even the last 100,000 years, or even the last few million years of humanity, depending on what measures you are using to compare. Just to share with the gathering today that the carbon concentration in the atmosphere today is 420 parts per million, which is the true measure of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, the long-term metric, and the true measure of global warming. And the last time the planet was at this state was more than 3 million years ago.
Okay.
And so that's what we have done in the last 100 years. The damage is consequential, it is exponential, and it is catalytic in terms of the fact that the dominoes are falling. And we are seeing the impacts of that right from Australia to the United States, whether it is the wild bushfires in Australia or the peat fires in Indonesia in 2015 that burned down 6 million acres of land and forests, or for the last 2 years that we are seeing. Last year, 5 million acres burned down in the west coast of the United States. And this year, the fire season is not even over. And it has been 5 million acres already burned down. So it is happening across the planet. And we need to listen to Mother Nature. We need to stop destroying ourselves. In our arrogance, we often say that the planet is at risk. The planet is not at risk. The planet will be fine after we are gone. So whether we are thinking in an enlightened way or in a selfish way, we need to stop. We need to see what our impact is on not just the planet as a physical structure, but also all other fellow species. There are 8 million of them, and our behavior is making them extinct, these beautiful creations of God. And we need to take responsibility and stop pretending that nothing is happening or questioning the climate science. We need to act now. And the young people, as you rightly mentioned, the millions that are listening in today, they have a huge role to play. And I really want to apologize to them on behalf of my generation. We have brought you to the precipice of human existence. And so while I am apologizing on behalf of my generation, I am here to do everything possible with you to make it right. And that's what I have stood for my entire life. And Krishnaji and Pitaji, your work to bring together people around the ideals of world peace, peace with nature, peace between nations and peace between people is as important as the peace between humanity and Mother Nature. And that's why I think young people can play a very significant part in determining what their future would be like.
Thank you so much, Satyaji. It's very humble of you to apologize. That shows what a wonderful human being you are. Yes, I think you very well said. It's not the earth that is going into extinction. I think if people can realize that it's humanity that's actually going into extinction and many other life forms, the earth will continue to live. I think if they can really understand that, probably we can see a lot more positive action. Thank you so much for that enlightening answer. So my second question is, if, based on your first answer, if there were no course correction by governments and citizens of the earth, what do you think will be the future 10 years from now, 50 years from now? And what do you see is the impact on earth we are already seeing?
Well, I think the answer is rather clear to this question because there's enough science. There are millions of peer-reviewed journal articles written on this subject. And as we know, when the IPCC first started talking about climate change and the adverse impacts on the planet and the species, we thought that 3.5 degrees of global warming would be terrible because that was the pathway we were on. And IPCC told us that we need to stay at 2 degrees Celsius of global warming above pre-industrial levels, which is about 100 years ago. And so that was the target. And that was supposed to be by 2100, by the turn of this century. Okay. But then again, that was based on the science that was available at that time, the evidence that was available at that time. And as we don't act at all, and as you know, the Rio Conference of 1992 gave birth to these 3 Rio Conventions, the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, the UN Convention on Preventing Desertification, and the UN Convention on Biodiversity, because biodiversity is that living fabric that actually protects all of us. So it's we exist together in a fine balance. And so we've been talking for 30 years, and IPCC keeps producing more reports, which are extremely important. But at the same time, we do not do anything. And so the 2 degrees now, IPCC is telling us we actually need to stay at under 1.5 degrees of global warming by the turn of the century. Now, unfortunately, that is too far. And actually, as you rightly asked, in the next 10 years, we run the risk of getting to 1.5 degrees already. Okay. Currently, the Earth has warmed about a little more than 1.1 degrees beyond the pre-industrial levels. Okay. And by current growth of global warming, we warm about 0.2 degrees every decade. So technically speaking, we'll be at 1.5 degrees already by 2040 if we don't act.
And that's considering this pace of growth.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the science. So, but the rate at which the dominoes are falling, a few days ago, we saw wildfires for the first time in Siberia, which is a frozen place, but the permafrost is melting. So as the permafrost is melting, the peat matter, which is like soft coal appearing closer to the surface of the earth, is burning. And as it burns, it releases methane, which can be 90 times more potent than CO2. So that's how bad it is. The wildfires in Europe, in Turkey and the countries around it, the wildfires in North America, on some days they equate to the annual emissions of many countries on the planet, just a daily emission from the fires. So as these things progress, these have not been predicted into the model. So as more and more of the earth burns down by our actions or by our not acting on the wise advice that we receive from scientists, what happens is that timeline by 2040 actually advances in time. So it could be 2035 or even 2030 when we get to 1.5 degrees of global warming. And that would mean catastrophic changes to the Earth's atmosphere and the living fabric that engulfs the planet. A lot of people were very excited about the fact that thanks to COVID, the sky is cleaner, and the animals are roaming the streets and all. That excitement is certainly welcome, but it's not based on facts.
Okay.
The images that we see are certainly encouraging, but climate change and global warming is based on the long-term metrics, which is not how much emissions we released in a particular year, which is important, but that's a blip.
Okay.
What is important is what is the carbon concentration in the atmosphere, and which
that's already existing.
That's already existing, and you're adding to it, making it worse. So the carbon concentration was roughly 416 parts per million before COVID, and the most recent measuring from the Mauna Loa Observatory of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration of the US government, which is in Hawaii, tells us that we are at 420 parts per million. So COVID has had zero impact on where it is headed, because that's a long-term trend. And so that's why we really need to act. We need to understand that we've lost our way, and we need to break the conspiracy of silence. What do I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
We hardly talk about climate change around our dinner tables, around our community gatherings, or when young people get together. I know it is very nice to talk about celebrities and the clothes they are wearing and what's the new fashion that is trending today, but life certainly does not depend on it. Life depends on where the Earth's climate is headed.
Yes.
And our productive life, if I may, as to what we will do and how we'll fulfill the God-given potential that we are endowed with, all depends on where the Earth's climate is headed. So I would really urge everyone in this gathering today to start talking about climate change, start looking at the science, because our life depends on it.
Absolutely. I think considering the timeline that you are suggesting, the time is so short and time flies, and 10 years, 2030 is not too far away. So very drastic steps have to be taken. Can you, Satyaji, let everyone know who is part of the Ekam World Peace Festival here, what single action each of them can take to stop hurting the earth, and what major steps the governments of nations must take to save the earth?
I think at an individual level, our actions are extremely important. Mm-hmm. A problem created by 8 billion people cannot be solved by a few corporations and governments. We have to take responsibility at 3 levels. At the personal level, we need to question everything we do. The moment we leave a room, are we flipping that switch? Because if we don't need that light anymore. If a tap is running, are we really using the water, or are we just letting it go to waste? Are we accumulating too many of personal belongings more than we need? These are questions we need to ask ourselves. And every action matters. So that's important at the individual level. Every decision we make has a bearing on how we will live our lives in the future. Secondly, in terms of community, I know for a fact, and this comes from a deep experience working with young people around the world. Young people bring to the equation imagination, innovation, passion, and creativity. So we are all endowed with it. There's no one any more or any less. So when we bring all of that to our thought process, I'm sure we will find what it takes to be a champion within our communities and encourage people to act, Sometimes people are too busy in their day-to-day lives. They don't see these things. So it is for young people because it is your future we are talking about. So step out of your comfort zones, start questioning everything, even your parents. There's nothing wrong. I can tell you, I have grown up with two parents where we were encouraged to ask every question that came to our mind, and we always got an answer. And we would always be told there are no stupid questions, only stupid answers. So all your questions are intelligent. If we can't give you an answer, we'll find someone who can give you that answer. So I'll encourage you to question everything around you and become a champion and engage your community and little things, within your community, whether it is gathering garbage or segregating it or finding somewhere you can compost every biological waste. Everything matters, because that's what the ocean was not made with an ocean full of water. It is the little raindrops that drop into our streams and ponds and rivers that flow down to make the mighty ocean what it is. So we can certainly come together and do something about it. And thirdly, especially for young people, it is extremely important for you to know that when you come together, whether it's one person's imagination and a few people, I have seen some of the most catalytic ideas being actualized by young people. Of course, you can talk about Facebook and Twitter and all, those are very ready examples, but I'm not talking about that. Those are really exponential examples of success, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about young people just stepping out to plant trees and planting thousands and thousands of them. Young people deciding to clean up their neighborhood. Young people deciding to organize their school communities, their classes. So you have that power in you, and you can certainly do that. Now, as for governments, the governments have been in a conversation for too long. They really need to act, because we elect governments so that they can do the right thing. They can think for us. Of course, we vote for them every few years, and we put them in office so that they can carry the essence of the wisdom of the community. For far too long and far too often, we have seen that our leaders start working for themselves instead for communities. And in that, I want to bring you an example of something that is happening in India, in the state of Andhra Pradesh, by successive chief ministers. It had serious support from Mr. Naidu when he was the chief minister, and now with Mr. Reddy, who's the chief minister. And it's a tremendous example of enlightened leadership. And what I'm talking about is the natural farming program of the Andhra Pradesh government. Andhra Pradesh has 6 million farmers, and the women farmers are doing extraordinary work. And I say this because I'm personally very strongly associated with this work. And what they have done is absolutely outstanding. As of today, 1 million farmers have converted from synthetic agrochemical farming to natural farming. Not a single drop of synthetic chemical pesticide or fertilizer goes into what they do with their land. It's a process of bioinoculation. The yields are going up with every crop cycle. The input costs are dropping to almost 80% below chemical agriculture levels, leading to grassroots prosperity, healthy children, healthy communities, and exponential gains in public health, while serving Mother Nature. Because the moment you stop hurting Earth, Earth regenerates itself. And you'd be surprised how fast Earth regenerates itself if we stop disrespecting it. So I think that's the true message to governments, that we need to show enlightened leadership. There are possibilities. There is a potential to make system scale transformations possible, provided we see the problem for what it is, not wish it away, because that time is gone. We need to act, and we need to act now.
Thank you, Satyaji. Thank you for your wisdom. Your words will reach the hearts of every person who is watching you right now and inspire them to fulfill their dharma their noble responsibility to Mother Earth. Please join us for the peace meditation. Namaste.
Today we will be led into the peace meditation by Sri Preeta ji. Being in a state of divine oneness, which we call Ekam, Sri Preeta ji will lead us to glimpse this sacred experience of connection to Mother Earth. The mystics had this realization when they awakened to this reality that Earth is consciousness. She is life. She is the mother of all mothers. Let us move into peace meditation with Sri Preeta ji now. Namaste. Please close your eyes. The peace meditation that over 20 million of us collectively doing will give rise to a great peace current. Ekam will magnify this peace current many times over and reflect it back to the collective human consciousness. Our peace meditation will collectively impact human thinking and human activity across the globe. Our peace meditations will become the healer of the earth. Ekam means one. Ekam means one universal fabric of consciousness. You may slowly open your eyes. As you see Ekam, as you immerse in the Ekam mantra, you're connecting to this unitary fabric of consciousness, and you are tuning into the divine force field. Now ask the universal intelligence to fill your heart with the divine presence. Please close your eyes. Place your palms upon your heart center. Connect to today's peace intention to heal Mother Earth. Relax your palms.
Reflect on one particular moment of your life where you felt a deep connection with nature, with trees, with animals, with the butterflies, with life. Feel the tenderness of that moment and immerse in that experience. Now open your heart to experience the pain suffered by Mother Earth because of humanity's insensitivity. Feel the pain of Mother Earth as so many of her children are dying. The trees, the plants, the fish, the forests, the animals. Because of greed-driven consciousness of humanity. holding Mother Earth in your heart. Say to her, "Forgive me for the pain I have caused you." Feel your body, your heart, and your being filled with peace energies. See your entire being be flooded with golden light. Feel your peace energies flowing from you and covering the entire earth. See all living beings on earth thrive and be healed of their pains. Now bless that humanity be freed of its greed and stop hurting the earth. See your peace energies creating great awakening in humanity, awakening to compassion towards Mother Earth. Open your eyes now. Hold your gaze on the peace flame. Looking at the peace flame, make a sacred promise. I will protect Mother Earth. I will protect all her life forms. I will nurture sensitivity in people around me towards Mother Earth. सर्वे जनाः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकान् समस्तान् सुखिनो भवन्तु शांति 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 May all humanity live joyfully. May all sentient beings live joyfully. May there be peace in our hearts. May there be peace in the hearts of our loved ones. May there be peace in the world around us. Namaste.
We have come to the culmination of the 4th annual Ekam World Peace Festival. The past 3 days have been a phenomenal movement in consciousness towards peace. And our collective meditations in the coming days and weeks will precipitate into harmonious events in the world, where people begin to express greater kindness and cooperation towards each other. Shri Preetaji and I want to convey our deepest appreciation to all of you for your dedication and passion for this noble vision. Our blessings for great joy and abundance to flow into your lives. Namaste.
Our heartfelt appreciation to everyone for being with us on these 3 eventful days. Thank you for your dedication and commitment for the noble vision of bringing world peace. Having listened to Shri Preetaji and Shri Krishnaji these 3 days, it is clear beyond doubt that what humanity needs is an awakening in consciousness. We collectively have to move towards greater and more beautiful states of joy, love, peace, and compassion. That and that alone would ensure our future and a future for our children and their children on this planet. Where do we begin this? You may begin this journey sitting in the comfort of your home, and you will be led into this awakening by Sri Pritaji in the manifest mystic process that happens online every month. Manifest is a journey into the 12 key aspects of your life. Being in Manifest, please know that you're not participating in a course or a seminar. You are entering a field of consciousness, a field of happening. Entering this field, you receive 3 gifts. You find solutions to the biggest problems of your life. You find fulfillment in those areas of life where you are unfulfilled. And you awaken to the greater intelligence of the universe, to a divine connection to lead you and guide you through the challenges of your life. Please visit us at ekam.org/manifest to participate in the Manifest mystic process. Wishing each and every one of you a joyful and an abundant life. May the blessings of the universe be with you. Namaste.
I close my eyes and I feel the love in the air, dancing today. There is nothing to say, I'm on my way. A shining star